Good morning, students. I am your teacher Neelam Elawat, and I have come up with another new topic, that is chromosomal theory of inheritance. Students, this is a very interesting topic, and I hope you are enjoying the social distancing sitting at home, and you're also learning new things every day. Are you enjoying the online classes? I expect yes. So let's start with today's topic. Now, before we start, you keep your pens, pencils, your book and notebook ready so that you can note down the right important points in your notebooks. Okay? Okay, dear. Let's start with the today's topic, that is chromosomal theory of inheritance. Now, students, if you remember, we've talked about a lot of work was being done by the Mendel, and is considered to be the father of genetics, isn't it? He's considered to be the father of genetics. But his work was not acknowledged in the very beginning. He also has to face a lot of problems. Rather, the recognition of his work was after his death only. So Mendel's work was basically published in 1865. See, in 1865 he published his work, but it could not be recognized up to 1900. See the difference. So he published his work in 1865 and it was not recognized up to 1900 century. Okay, 19th century. So we'll first discuss why this happened with him. The very important factors I've noted here. But before these important factors, we must not ignore that during that time, the communication between the people was not very easy one. So we can say the very first point could be that the communication was not easy. Okay. Second is, his work was not widely published. Okay. So these are the 2 points that I've not mentioned here, but I'm telling you. Now coming to the important points. First is the blending inheritance. Mendel generally talked about the non-blending inheritance. He said that in parents or during the F1 generation, only one character will express itself. And he talked about that there will be no blending in the F1 generation or in the F2 generation. But we have seen that there is codominance also, there is incomplete dominance also. So Mendel did not talk about it. So the people, they could easily observe outside that there is a continuous variation in the characters. But Mendel only talked about the discrete, contrasting characters only. He did not talk about the non-blending inheritance. Secondly, he used mathematical calculations in biology. Now, Mendel's approach of using the mathematics to explain the biological phenomena was totally new one. And it was unacceptable for many of the biologists at that point of the time. Third is, there was no physical evidence of the genes or chromosome factors. See, Mendel talked about that there are discrete units, but he could not provide any physical proof for the existence of factors. Okay? So because of these 5 points, the Mendel work really faced a challenge, and it was only recognized in 19th century. Okay, let's come to the next slide. Now, what basically happened in the 19th century, initially the people were using their very, old microscope and they could only see the honeycomb-like structures. But there was gradually an advancement in the technology. From simple microscope, we came to the compound microscope and then to the electron microscope. So as the technology advanced, we could easily see even the minute details of the organisms that are present inside them. So with this advancement of technology, the things were analyzed and many scientists rediscovered what Mendel was saying. There were three scientists that also contributed to the Mendel's result. One is De Vries, Correns, and Vaughan. Okay. And as the electron microscope was discovered, so we can say there was advancement in the microscopy. There was advancement in microscopy, as I just discussed. Cell division could be observed. The scientists, they could easily observe that there could be a division of cell that is occurring inside the organism, and there is a structure. So they could observe both the phenomena as mitosis and meiosis. They were also discovered at that point of the time. And there was a structure they also call that the cell contains a nucleus. Cell contains a nucleus. And inside this nucleus, there are certain structures. Okay, in the nucleus there are certain structures. These structures, they divide, and these structures were later named as chromosomes. Okay, so I'm repeating again. With the advancement of technology, there was advancement in the microscopy. Electron microscope was available, and with this electron microscope we could easily detect even the minute details inside what is happening inside the cell. Two phenomena, that were meiosis and mitosis, were discovered. They were observed, and during this it was observed that there are inside the nucleus there are special structures that divide and the cell multiply, and this division is called or you can say these structures, they are called as chromosomes. Okay. Now there were two scientists that really contributed to the Mendel's laws, or they established that the Mendel laws are correct. One was Walter Sutton. This Walter Sutton, he was working on the grasshopper. Right? He was working on the grasshopper, and he observed that in grasshopper there are two chromosomes, an X and X, and this one X is coming from the male and another X is coming from the female, and during the gamete formation, or you can say the gamete formation occurs in the meiosis. The gamete formation occurs in meiosis. So during meiosis, these chromosomes, they segregate, and only half of them is going to the single cell. So in the gametes, only 50% of the chromosome is present. One portion of the chromosome is present. So there is segregation of chromosomes during meiosis. And this was exactly which was explained by the Mendel's law of inheritance. So he again rediscovered the same phenomena. Then there was a second scientist who was called Bovary. He was working on sea urchins. And he observed that for the proper embryonic development, the chromosomal pairs are necessary. So you also focus that there is pairing of chromosomes. What was Mendel talking about, right? So these two scientists together proposed Bovary-Sutton theory of inheritance. Sutton was working on the grasshopper and Bovary was working on the sea urchins, and together they rediscovered the Mendel's laws. Later this theory was called as the chromosomal theory of inheritance. So Bovary and Sutton theory of inheritance was later named as the chromosomal theory of inheritance. And let's see, what does the chromosomal theory of inheritance says? It says the individual genes are found at specific locations. Okay, individual genes are found at specific locations on a particular chromosome. So there is a chromosome, and on the chromosome there are genes. Okay, so there is a chromosome. Chromosome contains genes. The pattern of behavior of the chromosomes during meiosis explains the Mendelian laws as to why and how the genes are inherited. So Sutton and Bovary together they proposed this chromosomal theory, and they said that chromosomes they are present inside the nucleus and they segregate during the meiosis. Okay, and during gamete formation only one part of the chromosome is present in the gamete. Okay, so gametes are haploid while the individual is diploid. Individual is diploid and the gametes are haploid. Okay, let's come to the next one. Let's compare the chromosomal theory of inheritance in the Mendel's work. How could we compare and how could we say that chromosomal theory supported the Mendel work? Let's see this. The chromosomal theory said that chromosomes occur in pairs, and these paired chromosomes they are called as homologous pairs. Mendel said that factors come in pairs. Okay, Mendel has used the term factor, and later these factors they were named as genes. So Mendel said that factors they are occurring in pairs, while chromosomal theory said that chromosomes occur in pairs, and these paired chromosomes they were called as homologous pairs. And in this pair, one chromosome is from the mother and another is from the father, while here again one factor is from the mother, one factor is from the father. Let's see an example here. In case of chromosomal theory, suppose there are two chromosomes, capital A and small a, right? And genes are present. You could see that there is a white portion which is there. So genes are present here on this white portion. So A and small a. So this whole chromosome, this complete structure will come from the mother, and this will come from the father during the gamete formation. Okay. Now let's see Mendel. Mendel has also said that there are two factors. One will come from the mother, one will come from the father. So there is a lot of similarity between the chromosomal theory of inheritance and Mendel's work. I hope are you all clear with this concept? So chromosomal theory supported Mendel's work. Okay, these two factors. Let's come to the next one. Chromosomal theory said different chromosomes assort independently during gamete formation. It said when gametes are formed. Let's see this example. Suppose you have this one. Suppose there are two chromosomes. The homologous pair is there. One is this one, another is this one. So when there is gamete formation, there will be segregation of these two chromosomes. One chromosome will go here, this red one has come here, and this purple has gone here. Okay, I'm drawing it again. Just look at this one, the first pair, AA and A, red and the blue chromosome. During gamete formation, this red is going to the first gamete and this purple is going to the second gamete. While in case of second one is red, another is pink. The pink is going here and red is going here. So there is segregation of chromosomes. So when the gamete formation occurs, or that occurs with the help of meiosis, So during meiosis, these chromosomes, they independently separate from each other and only one will be present in the one chromosome. Now after this you observe, again there is the chromosome itself consisting of two parts, it divides and one goes to each of the gametes. Now similarly, let's look up to the Mendels, what Mendel said. Mendel said alleles of different genes, they separate during the gamete formation. He said alleles or the factors, they separate during gamete formation. Right? If you see this example, there are two genes, capital, you can say the T and P. Two genes, or you can say two factors. Each is made up of two alleles. So alleles will segregate. See, out of capital T and small t, one will go, and out of capital P, only one will go. Right? If you look at the capital T and small t, they will separate, and only one T will go to the one gamete, and another small t will go to the another gamete. While capital P and small p, they will separate, and only one will be present in the offspring or in the gametes. So gametes only receive 50% of the individual. That is why they will be considered as haploid, right? So these three important points, the chromosomal theory and the Mendel's work, they are nearly the same. They're talking about the same things together. Now let's summarize our chromosomal theory of inheritance, what it says. First of all, it was proposed by Sutton and Bovary. Second, they worked out the chromosome movement during meiosis. The movement or the behavior of chromosomes was observed that it was parallel to the behavior of genes, and the chromosome movement is used to explain the Mendels laws. And this knowledge of chromosomal segregation along with the Mendelian principles was called as chromosomal theory of inheritance. And according to this theory, chromosomes and genes, they are present in diploid cells. Homologous chromosomes, they separate during gamete formation, that is during the meiosis, and when fertilization occurs, the chromosomes, they unite and the diploid condition is restored. Okay? This another example we can see, which is given in your NCERT. Let's suppose there are two chromosomes. We are taking two homologous pair of chromosomes. One is with yellow and another is with orange. Then we have green and the red. In first case, suppose the orange chromosome and the green chromosome, they are going together. So there is you can say the anaphase one will be occurring of the meiosis. They will go, 50% will go in first chromosome, or you can say in the cell, and 50% in the second. Further there is a division and they separate from each other, and again, so there are a formation of 4 gametes now. Okay. Second possibility could be that there is, you can say, the orange goes with the green. This could be the second possibility. Orange goes with red. Here it was orange was going with green. Orange will go with red. So same phenomena. So segregation of chromosomes. Okay. During meiosis. Now this picture I have taken from the NCERT, which is comparing the genes and the behavior of genes and the factors. Factors also occur in pairs, right? They occur in pairs. Genes also occur in pairs. Factors segregate at the time of gamete formation, and only one will be present to each of the gamete. Chromosomes also segregate, and one will be passed to each gamete. And there is independent pairing. Independent pairs segregate, means one chromosome does not, the segregation of one chromosome does not depend on the another. Same here, the segregation of one factor does not depend on the other factor, means one factor does not influence the inheritance of another factor. This I said, suppose this is your chromosome. So this portion, one portion of the chromosome is referred to as gene. So genes are present on the chromosomes and they are referred as unit of inheritance. They are referred to as unit of inheritance. So genes are always present on the chromosomes. Okay, and chromosomes can be seen during meiosis. They can be seen during meiosis, especially at the metaphase stage. They could be seen at metaphase stage very, very easily. So we can observe chromosomes during meiosis at the metaphase stage. So we can conclude that the chromosomal theory of inheritance, it supported the Mendel's work. Okay? Chromosomal theory supported the Mendel's work. Then the question comes, why did the chromosomal theory was accepted? See, Mendel's work was not accepted by many of the biologists and he did not got the recognition. Then how come these scientists, they could easily understand and they accepted the chromosomal theory of inheritance? The experimental evidence of the chromosomal theory of inheritance was given by the Thomas Hunt Morgan. Thomas Hunt Morgan, he was working on the Drosophila. Drosophila you've seen? It is also called fruit fly. It is a fly that you will observe near the fruits, generally bananas, apples. It keeps on roaming over them. So Thomas, he was working on the fruit fly. Now before we come to his experiments, we should understand, so he provided the experimental evidence for the chromosomal theory of inheritance, and then the people accepted the chromosomal theory of inheritance, and once they accepted the chromosomal theory, they were bound to accept the Mendelian theory, Mendelian characters, right? Now question comes, why did he choose the fruit fly? Why not something else? Let's see why he's chosen the, you can say, the fruit fly. There were several reasons. First is, it was suitable for genetic studies. It was easier for him to do the genetic studies on Drosophila. Secondly, it could simply be grown in the medium. You can easily grow this Drosophila in the synthetic medium in the laboratory, and they could complete their life cycle in about 2 weeks. That is very, very short time period, isn't it? Generally, we observe the life cycle is very long. It takes a lot of time to produce a new generation, but it could only reproduce in 2 weeks. And very important, a single mating between the male and the female could largely produce a large number of flies. Okay, it could produce a large number of flies, and there was a clear differentiation between male and females. Means from the external appearance, you can easily differentiate the male and the female. The characteristics of the male and female, they were quite clear. And many of these hereditary variations, they could be easily observed with the low power microscope. So that is the reason he provided, or he selected, the Drosophila for his work. Mendel worked on the garden pea, but he worked on Drosophila, and his work provided an experimental evidences with the slides, with his culture, and with the visible phenotypes that could be there in the male and the female. The chromosomal theory of inheritance was established. And as the chromosomal theory of inheritance was established, accepted, the Mendel work was also accepted, and he was given a status of father of genetics. Okay, dear students, I hope you understood the topic. If there is any query, you can talk to me, you can call me up. Now your homework for today, that is, you'll prepare notes of the topic. You will read these 3 page numbers, that is 81, 82 and 86. Rather, just don't read the 86, cross 86. Just read 81 and 82. Okay? Simply read 81 and 82. So you got to prepare the notes of the topic, read the page numbers, and use blue sketch pen to highlight your important things. And send me your homework. I'll be waiting for it. So enjoy online teaching and the social distancing, students, and keep yourself safe at home. Goodbye everyone.